surviving the potential likely ban of TikTok, it's a great time to audit your platforms. Why are you on the social media? Why are you on that platform that you got 10 followers on? Why are you rocking with this platform when you don't even like the head of the platform now? How much time is being consumed being on these platforms that you don't really rock with in the first place? A great way to audit your platform is to figure out who or what parts of your audience are actually there. Maybe none of them are there like that. What I did, particularly back in the day when social media was way more popular, it's popular now to diss social media. 15 years ago, especially when I was living in Silicon Valley, I might have been part of that reality distortion field that they talked about at the time. Steve Jobs, rest in peace, was really good at that. But I might have been part of that part of that filter bubble when it came to social media being everything. But it sure did seem like from '08 to I'd say 2020, 2012, 2013, 2014, social media could really do no wrong. People have their concerns, but I think social media started to fall apart probably around the Cambridge Analytica scandal in regards to the presidential election. I want to say 2016. That's when things really started to fall apart. There were some cracks in them before. I did a book with Ted, the same folks who did the conference, called Our Virtual Shadow, that talked about that. I want to say that book came out in 2012. Talked about some of the early versions of that. My whole point is that at that period of time, the basic thing was to be on every single social media platform possible. And the thing was, there weren't as many social media platforms. There was MySpace, going old school, MySpace, Friendster, quite a few blogging platforms like LiveJournal and stuff like that. Um, Facebook had just started. Twitter was just starting to catch fire. Again, back to the elections. That's when Twitter really started to take off. And I want to say the elections of, I want to say the elections of 2008, 2012, kind of like around the time in the U.S. when Obama was in office. There's very much a surge with Twitter and to a lesser extent with Facebook. So you could actually be on all the platforms. even Evan Spiegel, who's the head of Snapchat, he probably was in elementary school at that time. He was pretty young. Yeah, I don't think LinkedIn had started yet. Like we're talking way back. So it was possible to just be everywhere. TikTok obviously was still in China and probably didn't start yet. Now, I mean, I'm on Blue Sky right now. You can look me up at just look up Damon Brown on Blue Sky. That's like a Twitter competitor. There's like a million different places you can go right now. You can easily burn yourself out. And again, as I talked about at the top of the episode, for what? What are you burning yourself out for? In a lot of these cases, you're not able to take your audience with you. If you leave the platform, you're not going to be able to connect to that audience. And if you don't actually like the platform and or like the people that are running the platform, you're just giving them power by showing up on the platform. It's literally based on views and clicks, just like a lot of platforms that are around now that are beyond social media. So at this point, I would highly recommend that you audit which platforms you're on. What are the top three? Which ones should you be showing up at? Other ones, don't worry about it. There's a reason why I'm, streaming over to Twitter. It's not Twitter, Twitch, not Twitter, but to Twitch. A reason why a lot of y'all are connecting with me on LinkedIn, and the reason why one of the homes of BringingWorks.tv is YouTube. That was a conscious decision. There's a ton of other streaming platforms I could have went to. These are the three for right now. That's a decision. I wasn't streaming on Twitch a few years ago. There's a reason for that. I also wasn't streaming on LinkedIn until about 2 years ago. There's a reason for that. All these are strategic decisions. You should look at where you put your energy and your time and where you build your audience as a strategic decision. Because if you don't, then when things happen, like the likely TikTok ban this Sunday, when these things happen, you're going to be a deer in headlights. It's not going to work out for you. So have that strategy now, work on that now. There's a good reminder that, particularly when it comes to technology, these things aren't stable. We should not take these things for granted. It gets into one of my favorite conversations, had it with over at with Will Lucas over at shout out to Will, appreciate you over at Afrotech years ago. I think it was when the pandemic had just hit. We were having this conversation about idea first or skills first, as far as doing entrepreneurship. Should you go get a particular trade or particular da da da, or should you just go ahead and, excuse me, run with your idea and then get support da da da. But a key part of this conversation, which I've included the excerpt here, is the difference between owning your audience and renting your audience. And I compared it to being a homeowner versus being an apartment renter, which I've been both. Both are great. But if you're in an apartment, you don't have to worry about the overhead, right? With a house I had owned, uh, we had issues with like the water heater a little while ago, and luckily we had homeowners insurance. But other than that, it was out of pocket. And if the homeowners insurance wasn't set up the way it was, we got lucky, then that would have been several $1,000s. But luckily, it was covered by insurance. Knock on wood. It's a beautiful thing. My whole point is that when you have an apartment, you don't have to worry about that. So it's very similar. Where if you're on Facebook and you're getting your audience from there, you're kind of like renting the apartment. You can move in right away. You might do a security deposit. You can move in right away. You don't have to worry about most of the utilities because they're usually covered nowadays. You don't have to worry about that. If something goes on with your heat or your water heater or your furnace or whatever you got going on, you can call maintenance to be like, hey, and then they're required by law to come help you. I think within 24 hours. It's not by the law. Within 24 hours, they're going to help you and they're going to fix it. Da da da. But you can't paint the walls because they're not your walls. You can't blast your music. I'm a music guy. I have a record player right over there. You can't blast your John Coltrane at 3 in the morning because you can't sleep and you feel like hearing his soothing sounds. You can't do that because it's not your house. Most importantly, when you leave the apartment, you're not taking Jack with you except for what you came in with. That's the difference. Do you be a homeowner when it comes to your audience, where you can take your audience with you? You can even sell the home and actually make a profit or get some of that money back or whatever your situation is. You can pass on that home to the next generation. I got little kids. You can pass that on. Can't, but if you don't own the audience, if you don't own the property, you can't do that. I get into that way more articulately, but I get into that with the interview slash debate that I was having with Will at Afrotech. Love you, Will. I appreciate you. Hope you're doing wonderful. But it was a great conversation, and it feels so apropos. Apropos, my favorite word of the day. So apropos for today's climate, particularly as TikTok looks like it's going to sunset. So, have you audited your platforms? Are you kind of like, I'm going to be on every single platform possible? Is that your power move? Hey, I'm not mad at you. Just not my strategy, but I'd love to hear it in the comments. Or are you dedicated to one particular platform? And with what's going on with TikTok right now, is that making you question how dedicated you are in terms of to a particular platform? And maybe I'm wrong. Are there ways that you've been on social media, left a platform, and been able to keep your audience? I'd love to hear it in the comments. Even if you're watching the replay, throw it in the comments. I'd love to hear more about that. I am Damon Brown. I'm an entrepreneurial coach here to help you as a side hustler, solopreneur, otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. You're watching Bring Your Worth TV, coming to you Wednesdays at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time, coming to you live. You can subscribe for free, particularly here at Bring Your Worth.tv. My latest book, as I lose my voice, definitely time to wrap up the show. I think I need some more tea. Man, the winters out here in Vegas are killing me. Super dry. The complete Bring Your Worth collection out now. You can listen to it for free right now at bringyourworth.tv. Let me know what's happening. Are you auditing the channels that are platforms that you're on? Uh, what's kind of going through your mind as far as with this process? I'd love to hear more about that. And a good video to go to after this would be idea first or skills first. I'll be sure and put a link up. Until next time, remember you can always